Barry Hawkins has got a wonderful technique, strikes the ball beautifully, but here's an interesting question, as you'd expect from me. Okay, can you call a player within the top 16 and a player that's been to the final stages of the World Championship a journeyman player?
I think journeyman may be a bit strong, and certainly the players wouldn't like to be called a journeyman. Certainly someone who's been as high as rank 5 in the world. But when we talk about the major tournaments, there's always the same 4 or 5 suspects that we say these can win the tournament. Barry's never included in that. And he's sort of on the next level, if you like, of players. And is that a journeyman? I don't know. I don't think so. But it's a genuine question. Possibly in the last 3 or 4 years, the top 4 have taken it up a level even more. And there's certain players that hasn't gone with them. They've sort of stayed still. And that's proven now because they're not getting to the higher stages that they used to do.
Anybody who's been to the one table set up with a Crucible is a great player. And anybody who treats Barry Hawkins lightly does that at their peril.
I think the only thing that I've noticed that perhaps he differs from the other top players is his bridge hand is quite close to the cue ball, maybe a little bit closer, maybe an inch or two than some of the other players, which makes it quite compact, his whole action.
But that can be a good thing, especially on fast cloths, as we talked about before. So how does Barry Hawkins view himself within the game now? Is he happy with his lot? I mean, you know, being in the top 16, you can't argue at that. Plenty of players would be giving their left arm, right arm for that position. How does he kick on, or is there no way for him to get to that top 4 spot?
I think it's a difficult situation for a lot of these players that are on the second rung, as it were, of the top players in the game. There's so many tournaments that do you just sort of become relaxed, think, well, if I don't do well this week, I might do well next. There's bound to be 1 or 2 tournaments in the season where I'll do well. I think that's a dangerous situation. I think you've got to either give it 100% or nothing. And I think these players have been playing for a long, long time. And I think some of the top players may be better equipped at doing less practice. There's maybe some players that need those hours and hours and hours to compete.
But if you were in his corner and you can't settle for anything less than absolutely 100%, what would you be saying to him? What part of his game, technique-wise, approach-wise, positional, safe, or his mentality, where would you be picking holes in it to try and improve him?
I think the most important thing to have in your armoury is to score heavy, and I think Barry Hawkins does that when he's playing well. And that's what you've got to have. Just have that belief that when you get your chance, you can win frames in one visit. It's the most important thing to do. And if you can do that, then you put pressure on the top players. But after all this, do you still have the belief? That's the most important thing. That's the biggest question.